So just talking a little bit about education in Canada, and I'm going to try to keep watching on the waiting room as people come in. So in Canada, Canada spends more on education than any other country in the G8. And the G8 countries would be, that's France, Germany, Italy, United Kingdom, Japan, United States, Russia, and then Canada itself. So Canada spends a large amount of money on education in our country. Canadian students, they are some of the highest ranking students near the top of the world with standardized testing as they're being compared to other students.
咦，係咪爭啲啊？即係咪 lower than your expectation？ OK 啦，高過上次嘅分。
And education in Canada, public and private, that's always a question that a lot of people will ask. But both Canadian private and public schooling in Canada are known worldwide for their effectiveness. And in Canada, about 58% of Canadians believe that private schools provide a better education than public schools. So I graduated from a public school because where I lived in Canada, there were no private schools. But all of my working time has actually been in the private school. And actually, I've been at this private school that I'm working at. This is my 32nd year that I have been working in this particular school. Private schools, when I look at them and people ask me about them, what really is the difference with a private school or a public school? Well, private schools, they do offer smaller learning environments. What I mean by that is they're not very huge campuses with thousands of students on it. Usually it's hundreds of students, it's smaller. Secondly, private schools have a smaller student to teacher ratio. So for example, in our school, student teacher ratio is 1 teacher to every 16 students. Whereas many times in a public school or a large public school, their student teacher ratio might be 1 to every 25 or 1 to every 30. So it's a little bit different that way. And the other thing too is private schools provide opportunity for more personal attention with each student. And that's been one of the things that we have learned even this last year. During the pandemic, one of the things that our school did, we continue to work with our students, and families noticed because public schools, they stopped school, and our private school, we continued with school under the pandemic. And so families noticed that our teachers really knew our students by name. They knew what was going on in their homes and how to best help them with their learning style. So there really were some big differences between the public and the private school. I also would say this, that one of the things that I have looked at is when a student graduates, how many students out of public school go off to university and how many students from private school go off to university. It's not the same number. A much larger percentage of students from private schools go ahead and study at university than public schools. And that's different from province to province, but still consistently private schools would produce more students that would go ahead to university and study at universities or colleges. So that's another difference that would be there too. So I'm hoping later on, as we go through our presentation, if anybody wants to ask a question, I wanted to just say on behalf of SSS, Hong Kong and April, I just really appreciate the privilege of being able to talk with you today. April will be able to answer many of your questions. I've known April for a few years, and I've had the chance of being in Hong Kong myself, hoping that when travel opens up, I'll get a chance to meet some of these individuals that I'm having a chance to share with today. And so that for me is quite exciting to see the difference with the private and the public. And I think to summarize it, this would be the best slide for us to really focus on, and that is smaller learning environments, smaller student teacher ratio, and the opportunity for every student to be known by name. For example, in my school, we have about 230 students. 17 of those would be international students. But I know each of those international students by name. I speak with them probably at least once or twice a week. They have direct access to me. Their families have access to me. So I really enjoy the chance to help every student to be successful in our school. And that really is really a big goal for us, that every student would be successful. So I wanted just to take a few minutes today or this evening to talk a little bit about where our own school is, because a lot of people don't know very much about education in Canada, and then they don't know necessarily a lot about education in other parts of Canada. So for example, our school is called Moncton Christian Academy, but it's actually located on the east coast of Canada. Lots of times people know about schools in Vancouver and people know about schools in Toronto. And so the closest big city to us would probably be Toronto, but we're located in New Brunswick on the east coast, right along the edge of the Atlantic Ocean. And Moncton is located in the city, our school is located in the city of Moncton, New Brunswick, and it's just minutes from the Atlantic Ocean. It's a very beautiful part of the world. This is not really where I was originally born. I was originally born more in the center part of Canada, and I moved here. I moved here 33 years ago. And so this is where my wife and I have settled. This is where we've raised our kids. It's a great, safe community with a lot of great history and a lot of great things for people to explore as they come here. It's very multicultural, and it's also referred to as the hub of the Maritimes. Moncton is the largest city in the province of New Brunswick, and it is rated as one of the best cities in Canada to work and to raise a family. One of the questions that people do ask us is about during the pandemic. What does the pandemic look like? And you all know that the pandemic is very different depending upon where you are located in the world. So New Brunswick has had one of the most successful responses in the world to battle COVID-19. In total, our province has had very few cases of COVID-19, and our government has done a very good job at keeping our people safe during the pandemic. That has been a goal, and we have done very well. In fact, what we call Atlantic Canada and the area that we're in, it's a model that many parts of the world have been looking at because we've had so few cases of COVID-19. Our school under COVID-19, so it's almost a year ago that the pandemic really started to hit here in our region of the world. And so we went from being in class in person, and we took one day to change things over and to get set up. And all of our students, they actually went online. So whether you were in kindergarten, grade 1, or in grade 12, all of our students stayed in school online from their homes 5 days a week, and they finished their school year out. So public schools, they actually closed their schools. They weren't set up to be successful and have students be successful online. And so we actually continue with our students all the way through, and our parents deeply appreciated that. And when our graduates came to the end of the year, they had all of their coursework done. And every day, our students with the online version, every day our students actually had full access to our teachers. It was difficult, but it was very worthwhile. And we actually, under this, I think because of our response, one of the things that's happened is our school has actually, during the pandemic, our school has been growing. So we've grown by 32% this year, and we have our largest student enrollment ever. There's a lot of interest with our domestic students in our own part of the city. And then there's a lot of interest with families that are other parts of the world. And so we do have families right now that are from Korea and from China. Those are the two main regions that our international students are coming from. So if I was to say to somebody, why would we choose MCA? Those students that are sitting at the table there, all three of those students are Korean students. This is my ESL teacher, but all of the teachers that work with their students, they're committed professionals. They love the students that they teach. They want the very best for them, and they encourage the student to be the very best that they can be. We do provide a safe learning environment for each student, and each student, our goal is not to be just as good as public school. Our goal is to be better than even what public school is doing. And we can do that because we've got optimal student teacher ratio. We've got a partnership with families. We've got the ability to have just to connect with the student and really understand what their strengths or their weaknesses are, because we want, when our students leave here, we would like them to be able to go wherever they want to go. So all three of my students actually have, or my kids have gone to school here. My kids are 26, 24, and 22. And so my oldest, she went off to university. She studied at St. Yves. She worked, she studied kinesiology originally. My son, he went off to university more local. He finished a business degree. And then my youngest, kind of a little different situation. She was in a large graduating class. And so in that large graduating class, there were 4 individuals, and their goal was to study medicine. So my daughter was accepted into a medical science program at Dalhousie University in Halifax. There was another student that was accepted into the same program. I had another student that was accepted into a medical science program out of that graduating class. They studied it in London, England. And then there's another student out of that graduating class. They went on to study that in Cyprus. So same programs, but different parts of the world. So it's really important that our students don't just have an education, but we really want to make sure that we're setting them up so they can go wherever they want to go and study whatever they want to study. We do serve as an extension of the family, the home. We want to work in partnerships with families. If we, from my experience, the greatest success we can have with a student is when we do have parents working with us. We're communicating with them, they're communicating with us, and that is a very important part. We do believe, again, the partnership is a big deal. The lady who is holding or hugging her daughter, all of her kids have actually been a part of our school program here. And so that's an exciting part for us. The students that are at the table on the left-hand side, those are students that are off in university today. They're studying in various parts of Canada. And then student life, again, student life is very different for us. It depends on the students, where they're coming from, what kind of activities we're doing. This was just a fun activity that we were doing, but we want, when students come to our school, we want them to feel a part of our family. It doesn't matter what country you're from. It doesn't matter what language you speak. You belong here, and we want you to be a part of our family here. And so we want to reach out and be as friendly as we possibly can to make all of our students as comfortable as they possibly can be. We do offer extracurricular activities, whether it's athletics, music and drama, school clubs. Those are some things that our students will compete. We do compete with other students or other schools in the public sector. And then academics, how are academics actually set up? So we do have 2 semesters each year that our students are a part of, and each student completes 5 courses each semester. In our part of the province, or the province of New Brunswick, the most important marks you will get will be in grade 11 and grade 12. Those are the most important pieces. And so we want to make sure that our students, again, are set up to be successful wherever they want to go and whatever they want to do. This model is used by many of our schools in our area, and it works quite successful. The other thing it does do is it does allow us to take students in September, and then it also will allow us to take students in February, in the second half of the year, based on the courses that are offered and the strengths or the weaknesses of the student that's coming to us. The other thing that some families want to look at is whether or not our students can take advanced courses. And so our students do have the opportunity to take AP courses or advanced placement courses. They can earn high school credit and university credit at the same time, depending upon the marks that they will get. And so we've had students that have studied advanced chemistry, advanced math, advanced history, advanced statistics. It just depends on the interest level of the student and where they want to go. And we work really hard with our students, especially when they get up in grades 9 and 10, to really make sure that what they're thinking about studying in the future, that we're making sure they're going to meet the academic requirements, have the right credits, and to be able to be successful with that. And the other thing too is about 100% of our graduates will further their education at top universities and colleges worldwide. So I mentioned earlier that private schools and public schools, it's not the same percentage of graduates that go ahead to study their education. So in our school, I will tell you that probably 99%, 98% of our students will go ahead and study at the university all across Canada, or in the States or in other parts of the world. These are just a few of the universities that you might be familiar with in Canada. So Dalhousie, Mount Allison University is actually 20 minutes away from our city. It's one of the top universities actually in Canada. It's rated very high. It's a smaller university, but very, very good ratings. And it's one that we work with, and some of our graduates actually will attend there. The screen, the listing, all of those universities, we've had students attend every one of those. And there are about 31 universities across the country and into other parts of the world that we've had students actually attending. And then our international program, so international students coming in, it's a vibrant, caring, and a nurturing, highly academic program for our students. There is this acceptance for them and care in a non-threatening social and academic environment. We've got a lot of diversity of people coming into our group. And honestly, Moncton is an area where our Chinese population is growing. It's really a population that has started to grow in a great way. And even during the pandemic, for people that were traveling into this part of the country, we actually had the only international airport that remained open under the pandemic, even though our pandemic numbers were small. So people coming in to this part of the country, they were actually going to fly into our airport right here in our own city. We were meeting our international people at the airport and helping them to find places to live and places to quarantine. So we want to work with them. And we want, when students come in here, one of the things that many parents have asked me in Hong Kong is, how safe is it? It's a very safe city. And will my son or my daughter be bullied? Absolutely not. That is not something that we accept. We would address it. It would not be something that we will allow, because we believe every person is of equal value and every person should be given the same opportunity. And we want every student to be able to be their very best while here with us. So our international students, they do have teachers that work with them. And we worked with them to prepare them for university, if that's where they're going to be going, and looking at the university of choice. And then also at our school, we do have students that do take ESL. Not every international student needs ESL, but if they are in ESL, that is a big difference. Again, if a student is in public school or in our school, in public school, they would not have ESL every day. In our school, a student who needs ESL would get ESL every day until they no longer need it. And then even with that, they are still followed by our ESL department to make sure that they're being successful and they're getting the support that they really do need. So our ESL program, it does include tutoring and reading, writing, conversational English, and the support is every day. And so in closing, I just would say, if somebody was asking me, why would they pick my private school instead of a public school here, I will tell them, first of all, that our student-teacher ratio is 1 teacher to every 16 students. That is a really great ratio. You will not find that in any public school. Secondly, it's a very safe home where all students are welcomed and challenged to develop to their full potential. I have never met an international family that doesn't want the best for their son or their daughter. Every international family that I deal with, they want the very best. And our goal would be to partner with those families so that every boy, every girl, every young adult could be successful and reach their full potential. And the other thing too is, realistically, I'm not new to the educational experience. I'm not new to the private sector. I have some really great friends that teach in the public school, and we talk a lot about education and helping all of our schools to be the very best that we possibly can be. But for me, I've spent over 30 years being a part of our school here. I've taught for many years. I've been principal for all those years, and all three of my own children, they've graduated from this school here. And so for me, it's really quite exciting to be a part of education. I think working with students and helping them to be prepared for what their future is, I cannot think of anything more exciting than education. And that's really one of the things that I love about being a part of our private school here in Moncton. So I'd love if anybody has any questions or um, any issues that they would want to bring up. I would be happy to answer any of those. Or if your preference would be just to speak with April, then you feel free to do that. I'm just going to wait a few minutes here, and maybe if somebody wanted to even put something in the chat box, I can answer it through the chat box. But April, in the end, is very informed about our school, and we love the opportunity to be connected with FSS. Okay. Okay, well, it's been my pleasure. Oh, good, okay. So we have somebody who's asking, their son is 14 years old. Would 16 be a good entry point? So if they're 14 here, usually 16 is about grade 10. It depends on what the English level of a student might be. What we always look at is if the English level of a student is low, we would really strongly encourage for them to be here even in grade 7 and 8 to build that English, because the quicker you can get a good, strong English base, the easier it is in being in class with other students who are very proficient in English. Because what we would do with ESL students, so they would actually have vocabulary that would be pre-taught to them. So when they got to class, they would already have the information. They would know the information that people would be giving to them, and they would understand it. So we would encourage that a student, if we could get them, we would want them probably at least ninth grade. Ninth grade would be a great point. But again, it depends on the level of what their English is. So someone else has asked the question, what is the difference of tuition fee between public school and private school? That is a great question. So here in our country, public school is actually free if you are not an international student. If you are an international student, and you want to go to public school, the fee is actually, you register, it's $250 for your registration, and then it is $15,636 a year for your son or your daughter to attend there. And it doesn't matter what grade they're in. That would be what they would be doing with that. And so our school, we have a couple different programs. So if our international fee, there is an application fee of $100, and for a student to take ESL full-time and be an international student, they would be paying, instead of paying 15,636, they're paying 15,475 is what they would be paying. And then what we also do is, for example, if there was more than one child coming from the same home, then we can negotiate some of those costs that are there. There's not a lot of negotiation that can happen in the public system, but in our system there, we do have the freedom because, again, we're a private school. Those are great questions. Now, April does have literature on our school too, and she'd be more than happy to get that. And if there's something that you ask her and she doesn't know, she'll reach out to me, and then we can talk even farther from there. Okay, any other questions? Good, here's another one. Okay. Okay, so one question here is the application deadline. There is no application deadline. What I would encourage though, right now, I don't know the length of time it takes to process an application. April would be the best person to ask. She could tell you for sure. I don't know how quick things are being processed. I know that with some of our clients under the pandemic, some of the places were not staffed as well, so there were people that were missing. So work is very much behind. And so the thing that I would encourage you to do is to ask April what that question is. I mean, we will take students for the beginning of the year right up into the month of September, but I think on average, I think anywhere between, I'm going to say 6 to 8 weeks to have all of your paperwork processed. And we have a lot. To be honest, we have a lot of international students that are looking at coming to us this year, and so working with them quite well and very strongly to do that. So there is no deadline, but again, it the sooner the better is what's going to happen, because for us, we're looking at expanding our facility to a second site because our population is growing here. And I think one of the things that some of our international families really like about our school is that there are not 100 Chinese students, because when they come to a place where there are fewer Chinese students, what happens is the student actually has to work more in the English language, and there are some better successes. And so that's one of the things that I think people like about a smaller private school. So Heather, one of the questions you have asked is whether or not at the entry point, would you like me to go over the section, the differences between public and private school? Is that what you're asking me to do, Heather? Maybe you just want to put that in the chat again. I think that's what she's asking. So I'm just going to go back here. I'm going to grab this. Okay, and we're going to go back. Because this is really, I think this was what a lot of people were really looking for. So I just quickly go through. There's not many slides, but again, speaking about education in Canada, I know that one of the things that I've been really aware of with international families is that international families, they do a lot of research themselves. They look a lot online to find out what information they can locate. I've been there before, and parents will tell me stuff that I'm quite amazed that they know, but they have done their homework because they're trying to be responsible and help their son or daughter be successful. So again, the education, when it comes to Canada, Canada is the country that spends more on education than any other country in the G8. And the G8 are countries such as France, Germany, Italy, United Kingdom, Japan, United States, and Russia. Canada is the #1 spender on education, and Canadian high school students, they consistently rank near the top of the world on standardized tests. And that's one of the things that's really quite important if you look at those things and you see that in research. The other thing too, both Canadian private and public schooling in Canada are known worldwide for their effectiveness. They've got a very good reputation, and 58% of Canadians believe that private schools provide the better education than what public schools will do. And when it comes to really looking at what really is the big difference between a private school and a public school, well, private schools offer smaller learning environments. One of the largest schools that I'm aware of in public, they would have about 2,000 students in that school, where the majority of private schools would have a few hundred students in them. So they're smaller learning environments, which provides smaller student-teacher ratio, and also provides opportunity for more personal attention for each student to experience. And so that kind of gives a little bit of some of the pieces that would be there and that would be of interest. And so in looking at our own school, again, I will just kind of bump through this one more time, where we're located. So we are located on the East Coast in the province of New Brunswick. That is that red block, that is our province. And we're located in the city of Moncton. It's just a few miles away from the Atlantic Ocean. And it's referred to as the hub of the Maritimes. It's also the largest city in the province of New Brunswick, and it's rated as one of the best cities in Canada to work and raise a family. It's a very safe city. You can go at any time of the day, anywhere, walking, and you are perfectly safe there. We've got good transportation, and we've got places where people, many times they will ask me, well, are there stores I can buy my food that I'm looking for? As a family from Hong Kong, there are places that work that can provide those things, and we actually have a family that we have a couple families from Hong Kong area, and we would connect you with them, and they could show you the best places to get the foods that you're looking for. The other question some people have asked us about the pandemic, and really our part of the world, or our part of the country, Atlantic Canada, we've had one of the most successful responses to the battle of COVID-19. And the province has actually had very few cases of COVID-19. And our government has done very well at keeping our families safe. And during COVID-19, our school did not miss one day of school. During the pandemic, we switched, I think it was the 17th of March, we switched from doing classes in person to doing classes online. So we did the rest of our school year into June online with all of our students in kindergarten through grade 12. And all of our students were able to graduate with all of their coursework done. And again, because it's a smaller student teacher ratio, when students needed extra help, they were able to get that from their teachers online. And it worked very, very well for us. And during the pandemic, one of the things that we've discovered is that many people have really understood the value of our school. And our school, in the last 2 years, we've actually increased by 32%. And we have the largest student enrollment that we've ever had this year. Our school, our faculty, they're all committed professionals. They love the students. They love to teach. That's why they're here. We provide a safe learning environment. Our students receive advanced academic training, and we serve as an extension of the home, and we care for students, and they join our family when they come here. They become a part of our family. And that's one of the things that we want students to feel comfortable here. We believe that it's really important to work closely with the family, because we think that the family is the most important part of the educational process. If they have the support of their mother or their father, we are able to do so much more in helping the son or the daughter to be successful academically. And students at our school, one of the girls that's in the red dress, she's actually from Korea, is where she's from. And then we have other students. We have 17 international students this last year. Probably 5 of them would be from China, whether it was mainland China or Hong Kong. And then the rest of our students, most of them are students that are coming from Korea. We do have a sports program where we compete against other public schools and other private schools. We also have music, we have drama, we have school clubs like yearbook or student council, places where the students can develop their leadership skills. These are just a couple pictures of sports teams and some drama things that our kids have worked on. We do have 2 semesters each year for our students, and each semester a student would complete 5 courses. A student needs to have 18 credits to graduate, so they would have the opportunity in grade 11 to get 5 credits in the first semester, 5 credits in the second semester, so there's 10 there, and then they could get 10 more in their grade 12 year. So they could be exposed to up to 20, but they would be required to have at least 18 in order to be considered a graduate. And students also have the opportunity to take AP courses. We find with some of our students coming from whether it's from Hong Kong or mainland China. We find with some of those students that their math ability is very strong. We have one of the most aggressive models. The math model we're using is what we call the Western model, coming out of Western Canada. It's a very strong model because when our students graduate, they're going to go to other parts of the country. We want to be sure that our students have that. And so we try to find ways to make sure that our students are excelling and being challenged to be the very best students so they're prepared to go wherever they need to go. About 100% of our graduates further their studies at top colleges and universities. And I had said earlier that one of the differences really is in private schools, a much higher percentage of private school graduates attend university than public schools. So in our school, probably in about 98, 99% of our students, they will go ahead and study at university or college, whereas less than half of public school graduates will go ahead and study at universities, for various reasons, but that's just where we are. Our students are looking at moving farther with their education, and so that we have a very high percentage of our students that are going to go ahead and study. These are a few of the universities that our students have attended. Every one of those universities, we either have students or have had students at them. There are, I think, 31 or 32 universities across the country that we have had students either attend or they are currently attending them. So we have a very good rate of students be accepted at other universities. And then our international program, again, it's designed so that students experience a vibrant, caring, nurturing, and an academic program. We want them to be a place where they're loved and accepted and they're cared for in a non-threatening academic and social place. And our students work with teachers who support them and work with them as individuals to prepare them for university success. The other thing is in our international program, there is an ESL program. ESL is English as a second language or English as an additional language. It's designed so that we can get our students into all of the mainstream courses, learning as fast as possible. And even when they're in those other mainstream courses, they get the support that they're going to need in order to be successful there. It does in the ESL programs covers reading, writing, conversational English, and students receive the support every day. That is also another difference between public school and private school. In public school, you would not get ESL support every day. Here in our school, you get it every day until you no longer need it, because we want to be sure that you're being successful and you have the opportunity to get the support that you're going to need. So in closing, I just would say choosing MCA, student-teacher ratio. Secondly, our school is a very safe place where all students are welcomed and challenged to develop to their full potential. And then lastly, I'm not new to the educational market. I've been here for over 30 years. All three of my kids graduated from this school. We've been working with the international market probably on purpose, really working overseas, probably for the last 3 or 4 years, but we have had international students probably for the last 15 years here in our school. We've always had a population of international schools, so we're not new. But right now, what we're doing is we're reaching out to certain agencies that we feel good about and that we have a partnership with, and that we know that if we are working with them and we're receiving clients from them, that success is something that we think is going to be able to happen for us. So that would be one of the big advantages, I think, of being able to be a part of FSS and being able to enjoy that. So just in closing, again, I guess if I just would ask if anybody does have a question. So yeah, how many students are there in one grade? So it varies. So in our school, student-teacher ratio is about 1 to 16. So I would say that our largest class has 24 and our smallest class has 10. Is what our ratio numbers are. When you get into the older high school groups, probably on average, our classes have about 20 students in there in each of those grades. Another great question. Any other question? Okay, so a question is being asked, would it be too late to enter at grade 10? It's not too late to enter at grade 10. The only challenge would be, and if you're asking about the fall, so coming into grade 10 for the fall school year, we will have students that are coming into grade 10 this fall. The only thing that might slow them down a little bit, being able to be in the mainstream courses and not having to have any ESL, would be what their English level is. If they've got good reading, English, and comprehension of English, grade 10, they should be able to do well with that. What we would do is we were very careful. We would not want to put them in grade 11 courses until we knew that they had a good foundation, because your grade 11 courses and your grade 12 courses, those are the grades that you apply to university with. And so we want to be sure that every student coming in has a good base so that they can get the very best marks. Because again, even in Canada, the marks that you get in grade 11 and grade 12, those are competitive marks for academic placement at universities and colleges across the country. So grade 10 is not too late, but the more strength that they have in English, then grade 10 would be a better place. If they're really not strong in their English, I would encourage them even in grade 9 to be here. That would be my encouragement, because then you've got grade 9 and grade 10 to really get that a real good strong hold of your English and really get the very best marks in grade 11 and grade 12. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure to spend some time with you today. Hopefully, I'll get a chance to meet you at some point in time. I'm hoping when travel opens up again that I would actually be able to be in Hong Kong and spend some time with you. It's one of my favorite places to travel to. And I said to my wife the other day, I'm missing not being able to travel and spend time with my friends over there. So again, just in closing, I want to say thank you to FSS and to April for a chance to speak with you today. And if any of you have any questions, please reach out to April. April will get in contact with me, and we can connect. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.